This is Christine Valerie, and I am the Dating Diva. You can find me at omgseriously.com. This story is a little bit of an odd one. It's not exactly a dating story. However, it's a little bit of a sad story for me. I basically had a friend who I'd met quite a while ago, and when I met him, he was engaged to get married. And I knew him and his ex-wife, I guess now. And what sad thing was, he found out she was cheating on him. And he was going through a really, really rough time, and so I was really there for him. I know what it's like to go through a rough time, and so I basically decided to really be there for him because I know what it's like to feel like you're going to fall on your face. And basically after a period of time, month or two, we'd been talking a lot, I could feel there was a little bit of the kind of emotional, a little bit of the gray area. And he basically brought it up to me, and we had a little conversation about, okay, maybe there could be something here. And as we were kind of talking about that, instead of saying, there could be something here, or maybe I have some feelings for you, he said to me, I'm in love with you. You're going to be the mother of my children. I know you're going to marry a blonde guy. He was blonde. He said to me, you're like love wrapped in diamonds. You're like love itself. Everything a woman would want to hear. He also said to me he wanted a commitment right away. And I personally don't hand out commitments like it's Halloween candy. I don't just hand them out. There's got to be a little bit of time, a little bit of courtship before getting to that level. And so I thought about it a little, and I thought, let me sit on this for a minute. We know each other well, and before I enter into something, and I just didn't feel good about it. He had just signed divorce papers 6 weeks before, and it's just not a good idea to get, into a relationship that could potentially be serious with someone who's just signed divorce papers. And so I didn't feel good about it. And so what I said was, maybe at a later time. And so, however, now is definitely not the time. And he said things to me like, I get it. You're just committed to not being committed. Or at one point, we had a conversation. He walked around his house going, buck, 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 buck. And I thought to myself, if you're pushing my buttons, trying to get me to commit to you, there's something just kind of wrong about that. And so I just felt really betrayed in our friendship. And it was just a little weird. So I took a little bit of space from that. And then I found out pretty much 2 weeks later, guess what? He is in love with somebody else. And he goes on Facebook, and this is almost a 40-year-old man, and posts on Facebook, in a relationship, in love. And I was like, wow, really? Because 2 weeks ago, you were apparently in love with me, and I was going to be the mother of your children. And 2 weeks before that, it was some other girl. And I just thought to myself, wow, I'm so glad I did not fall into that trap. And at the same time, it was kind of sad, because he was a good friend, not a bad guy. However, definitely in a really painful period in his life. And for me, it was like I just felt really manipulated and kind of disrespected. Like he was pushing my buttons, trying to get me to do what he wanted so he could just sort of feel better, do whatever it is. And so it's just quite sad. And it was just very, very messy. And for me, it's always a red flag. If a guy goes from just being a friend to, you're going to be the mother of my children, I mean, it's a little bit odd. And it didn't feel right for me, especially given the level of the stuff he was going through with his divorce. And so I had to let that go. It just didn't feel good about it and didn't feel like he was being honest with me. And so, word of the wise, gentlemen, do not manipulate or push buttons to get someone into a relationship. And if you've got to do that to get them into a relationship with you, probably not going to last. Anyways, you can find this and more stories of my crazy life at omgseriously.com.